What if most of the things you constantly stress about never actually come true? What if the weight you've been dragging around isn't life's burden at all, but the weight your own mind created? Today, we live in a world where the future feels unstable, expectations feel heavy, and our thoughts move faster than our breath. We replay old moments we can't change. We fear outcomes that aren't in our control. We picture disasters that exist only in our imagination. And slowly, worry turns from a signal into a daily routine. But the ancient Stoics recognized worry for what it truly is, a thief that steals the present moment. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you're troubled by anything outside yourself, the pain isn't caused by the event, but by your judgment of it. Your freedom begins the moment you learn to release that judgment." In this video, we'll explore 10 Stoic principles that help you let go of what isn't yours to carry, break the cycle of overthinking, and finally breathe with clarity again. Let's begin. 1. Focus only on what you can control. Worry begins the moment your mind steps into territory that doesn't belong to you. It wanders into the future, tries to predict outcomes, imagines threats, and attempts to negotiate with uncertainty. And before long, you find yourself drained, not because something happened, but because of everything your mind rehearsed. The Stoics taught that most emotional suffering comes from one confusion, mixing up what is within your power and what is not. Think about your own life. How often do you stress over someone else's decisions? How often do you lose sleep over how people might respond to you? How often do you replay events you simply cannot change? We forget something essential. You're responsible for your choices, not the universe's reactions to them. Epictetus said that freedom begins with a simple distinction: the things that belong to you, your thoughts, choices, actions, character, and the things that do not, outcomes, other people's behavior, timing, and external events. The more you cling to what isn't yours, the heavier life feels. But the moment you set it down, your mind begins to breathe again. Picture the invisible backpack you carry every day. What if this goes wrong? What if they don't like me? What if everything changes? You've carried these questions for years, yet none of them are within your control. The Stoic shift is simple but powerful. Move your energy from worrying about results to strengthening your actions. Shift from predicting the future to showing up fully in the present moment. Stop chasing certainty and start preparing yourself to respond wisely to whatever comes. Try this today. Take one worry that's been sitting in your mind and ask yourself, is this within my control or outside of it? If it's outside, release it. If it's inside, act with intention. When you ground yourself in what you can control, worry loses its grip. A mind rooted in responsibility, not fear, becomes unshakable. 2. Return to the present moment. Most of the pain you feel doesn't come from what's happening right now. It comes from your mind running ahead into moments that haven't arrived. Worry rarely lives in the present. It almost always comes from imagining the future, predicting problems, rehearsing worst-case scenarios, and letting fear feel like reality. The Stoics understood something profound. Peace isn't found by controlling life, but by returning to the only place where life actually happens, the present moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." He was reminding us that the present is the only territory we can influence. You can't rewrite yesterday, you can't control tomorrow, but you can shape this breath, this choice, this step. Yet modern life makes presence challenging. Your phone pulls your attention in multiple directions. Responsibilities push you to think ahead. Your mind replays old memories or imagines new problems until worry becomes automatic. But notice what happens when you return to the moment you're actually living. Your breathing deepens, your thoughts slow down, Your body stops tensing for impact, and clarity rises. Here's a simple Stoic grounding practice. When anxiety begins, pause. Inhale slowly through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Observe what is truly happening, not what you fear might happen. Then quietly tell yourself, this moment is enough. Use this during stressful interactions, while waiting for a message, driving, sitting alone, or whenever your thoughts begin to spiral. Every time you return to the present, you weaken fear. Letting go isn't about avoiding reality. It's about refusing to live in one that doesn't exist yet. When you root yourself in the present, worry fades and peace finally has room to reach you. 3. Reframe fearful thoughts. Worry rarely comes from the event itself. It comes from the meaning you attach to it. Two people can face the same moment, but only one of them falls into anxiety. Why? Because the event wasn't the cause, the interpretation was. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of things." This is the foundation of mental clarity. You don't fear what happened, you fear the story your mind wrote about it. A delayed text becomes, "They're upset with me." A small mistake becomes, "Everything will fall apart." A challenge becomes, "I'm not capable." Your mind builds entire narratives out of fragments, and those narratives become the prison. But the Stoics teach that you have both the ability and the responsibility to interrupt that story. The next time worry rises, pause and ask 3 questions. Is this thought a fact or a fear? Most of what troubles you is imagined, not real. Is there another interpretation that is equally possible or more compassionate? You rarely know the full picture. Let your mind expand, not collapse. Will this matter in a week, a month, or a year? Most fears lose their intensity when viewed through a wider lens. When you challenge your interpretation, you weaken anxiety. When you rewrite the story, you reshape your emotional experience. Think of your thoughts as lenses. A distorted lens makes life look frightening, even when nothing is wrong. A clear lens shows what's truly there, not what fear exaggerates. Practice reframing during stressful conversations, moments of uncertainty, when your mind jumps to conclusions, or when you catch yourself imagining worst-case scenarios. Every time you shift the meaning, you reclaim your inner power. You may not control events, but you always control the story you tell yourself about them. And when that story changes, your peace returns. 4. Practice voluntary discomfort. Worry grows strongest in a life that has become too comfortable. When everything is predictable, even minor disruptions feel like threats. When you rarely face challenges, your tolerance for uncertainty weakens. And when your mind isn't trained to handle discomfort, worry becomes its default setting. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology confirmed it. If you avoid discomfort, you'll fear it. If you face it, you rise above it. Seneca would sometimes sleep on the floor, wear rough clothing, or eat simple meals, not to punish himself, but to remind his mind that he could endure hardship. This wasn't about suffering, it was about freedom, because once you realize you can handle discomfort, fear loses its power. In today's world, voluntary discomfort doesn't need to be extreme. It simply needs to be intentional. Wake up earlier than you'd prefer, take a cold shower, walk without distractions, lift a little heavier than feels comfortable. Have the difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Choose the task that stretches you instead of the one that comforts you. Every intentional challenge sends a message to your mind. I'm capable of more than I assume. And the stronger that belief becomes, the weaker worry grows. Discomfort is a training ground. It builds resilience, widens your capacity, and teaches your mind to stay steady even when life refuses to follow your plans. Try this. Pick one small, controlled discomfort each day. something safe, simple, and slightly uncomfortable. Notice how your confidence rises not from avoiding challenges, but from meeting them head-on. The truth is clear. A mind raised on comfort becomes fragile. A mind strengthened through discomfort becomes fearless. Worry thrives when you underestimate your own strength. Voluntary discomfort shows you the opposite, that you are far more capable, far more adaptable, and far more resilient than the anxious corners of your mind suggest. 5. Reduce mental noise. Worry doesn't always come from one big problem. Most of the time, it stems from overload. Too much information, too many opinions, too many inputs hitting your mind at once. When the mind is crowded, even small issues feel bigger than they are. The Stoics understood this long ago. They avoided gossip, chaotic crowds, and unnecessary noise because they knew a noisy environment creates a noisy mind. Today, that noise is multiplied thousands of times. Notifications, endless scrolling, opinions from people you'll never meet, drama that doesn't belong to you, yet still drains your energy. You carry devices that open a direct door to the world's chaos, and it walks right in. No wonder worry grows. Your mind simply doesn't have space to breathe. Reducing mental noise isn't about running away from life. It's about deciding what deserves your attention. Your attention is your most valuable asset, and anxiety thrives when you give it away freely. Start small. Turn off notifications that do nothing for you. Reduce time on news apps and social platforms that feed fear, comparison, or outrage. Stay away from conversations that only drain you. Choose silence over stimulation for a few minutes each day. Better yet, create intentional pockets of stillness. A quiet morning without your phone, a walk with no headphones, a meal without a screen, a moment of stillness before entering a busy environment. These small pauses help your mind reset, process, and calm itself. And you'll notice something powerful. When external noise decreases, internal noise fades with it. Thoughts get clearer. Decisions feel easier. Worry becomes quieter. Not because life suddenly changed, but because your mind finally had room to settle. A calm mind isn't a gift, it's a result. And reducing mental noise is one of the strongest ways to cultivate it. 6. Accept life's impermanence. A huge part of worry comes from resisting the truth that life is always changing. We cling to people, expectations, routines, and identities as if they're guaranteed to stay forever. And when life shifts, as it always does, worry appears. Not because change is wrong, but because we believed it wouldn't come. The Stoics embraced impermanence as a path to peace. They practiced memento mori not to be dark, but to wake up to the present. They understood that everything you love, everything you fear, everything you hold on to is temporary. Instead of fighting this, they used it to live more deeply. Think about how many of your worries come from attachment. What if this relationship ends? What if my career shifts? What if I lose what I have? But the real fear isn't in the ending, it's in the clinging. When you accept impermanence, life becomes lighter. People can change and you won't break. Opportunities can shift and you won't collapse. The future can move in unexpected directions and you'll adapt because you're no longer holding on with fear. Impermanence isn't a threat, it's a reminder that nothing is guaranteed, and because of that, everything is meaningful. Try this simple Stoic reflection. List 3 things you appreciate right now, things that won't always be here: a person, a routine, a moment, a chapter of your life. Let that awareness deepen your gratitude, not your fear. When you stop resisting the natural flow of change, worry loses one of its strongest weapons. You stop asking, "What if this disappears?" and instead say, "If it changes, I'll change with it." A flexible mind is a peaceful mind. A mind that accepts impermanence, stops trying to force life into stability, and learns to move with it. Letting go begins with understanding this. Nothing lasts forever. And that's exactly what gives everything its meaning. 7. Master your emotional response. Most people assume emotions themselves create worry, but the Stoics taught something different. They believed worry isn't caused by the feeling, it's caused by the reaction. The emotion isn't the problem. The impulsive response is. Life will always hand you triggers. A rude comment, an unexpected shift, a disappointing result, a conversation that hits deeper than expected. You can't prevent these moments from arriving, but you can choose what comes next. That choice is where your strength lives. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Understand this, and you'll uncover your strength." This single idea can completely reshape your relationship with worry, because once you separate the event from your reaction, you reclaim authority over your inner world. Emotions show up fast. Fear, frustration, embarrassment, anger. But your response can be slow, intentional, grounded. Here's the Stoic method. Pause, breathe, respond. Pause to interrupt the automatic impulse. Breathe to calm the nervous system. Respond only when clarity returns, not when fear or anger is steering the moment. When you delay your reaction, even briefly, your mind shifts from survival mode to reasoning mode. The situation doesn't change, but your power within it does. Imagine how different life becomes with this practice. You no longer say things you later regret. You no longer add fuel to conflicts that exhaust you. You no longer act from fear or insecurity. Instead, you become a quiet observer, someone who chooses their response rather than being driven by emotion. Try this the next time anxiety rises in your chest or irritation appears mid-conversation. Feel the emotion fully, but don't act on it. Let it move through you like a wave. Once it settles, respond with intention, not impulse. Mastering your emotional response doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means refusing to let feelings turn into decisions. The more you practice this, the more unshakable you become, not because life gets softer, but because your mind grows stronger. 8. Release the need for perfection. Worry thrives wherever perfection takes root. The more pressure you place on yourself to do everything flawlessly, the more fragile you become. One mistake feels disastrous. One delay feels like failure. One imperfect moment becomes a reason to question your entire value. But perfection isn't a standard, it's a trap. The Stoics knew this well. They valued discipline, clarity, and steady effort, not flawlessness. For them, progress mattered far more than perfection. Progress moves you forward, while perfection keeps you frozen. Think about how often perfectionism has fueled worry in your own life. You hesitate to start because you fear doing it poorly. You avoid opportunities because you fear judgment. You overthink every detail because you fear errors. The fear of doing it wrong becomes the reason you never begin. But here's the truth. Perfection is simply another form of control. And the moment you try to control everything, you lose your peace. Let go of the idea that every action must be flawless. Aim for something far more freeing: consistency. A consistent person grows. A consistent person adjusts. A consistent person makes progress even on difficult days. One powerful practice is the Stoic 80% rule. Do things well, not perfectly. Offer effort, not obsession. Create room for mistakes, because mistakes are where lessons live. When your focus shifts from perfect results to deliberate action, worry starts to fade. You stop measuring your worth through impossible expectations and start valuing yourself for the courage to keep going. Try this. Take something you've been delaying: a message, a task, a creative project, a challenging conversation. Do the imperfect version today. Not the masterpiece, not the final form, just the next step. Progress is peace. Perfection is pressure. Choose the one that keeps you moving. When you let go of perfection, you step into a life where mistakes guide you instead of intimidate you. And suddenly, worry has nowhere left to grow. 9. Put your worries on paper. The mind is a powerful storyteller, so powerful that a single thought can echo for hours, even days, when it has nowhere to go. Worry multiplies in silence. It expands in the dark. And when everything stays trapped inside your head, your imagination amplifies it until it feels enormous. This is why the Stoics wrote, Marcus Aurelius kept a journal not to impress others, but to clear his mind, to untangle thoughts, calm emotions, and regain control of his inner world. Writing is not a pastime. Writing is a release valve. When you put your worries on paper, something remarkable happens. You stop carrying them alone. The mind relaxes. The fog clears. What felt overwhelming becomes understandable. What felt threatening becomes manageable. Because the moment a thought leaves your head and meets the page, it becomes something you can see rather than something you only feel. And once you can see it, you can question it, reframe it, or let it go. Here's the Stoic journaling method. Dump. Write everything weighing on your mind, uncensored and unfiltered. Clarify. Identify what's real and what's imagined, what's in your control and what's not. Decide. Take one small rational action you can do today. This simple ritual transforms vague worry into concrete steps. It turns emotional chaos into structure and gradually teaches your mind that not every thought deserves panic. Some only need perspective. Try this tonight. Take a pen, find a quiet moment, and write down every worry circling in your head. Don't edit, don't judge, just empty your mind. Then look at the page and ask yourself, which of these truly deserves my energy? Most won't. Writing is how you step away from your worries instead of drowning in them. It's the Stoic practice that converts fear into clarity and clarity into peace. 10. Trust the process, not the timeline. One of the biggest sources of worry is believing life should unfold according to your schedule. You think you should be further along by now. Certain goals should already be achieved. Healing, success, clarity, or stability should arrive faster. And when they don't, anxiety fills the gap between where you are and where you expect to be. The Stoics remind us that timelines are rarely ours to control. You control effort, not results. Action, not outcome. Direction, not destiny. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Life unfolds at the pace required for your growth, not your comfort. Worry arises when you believe you're behind, but behind compared to what? A story you created, a timeline built from comparison, a standard no one has truly lived. Progress is not linear. Healing is unpredictable. Growth doesn't follow a clock. When you release rigid expectations about when things must happen, life moves naturally and anxiety loses its grip. Instead of forcing a timeline, build a process, a daily standard, a small set of actions you commit to regardless of the future. Show up, do the work, strengthen your character. Give your best effort today, not because it guarantees tomorrow, but because it anchors you in the present. Try this. Write down 3 daily standards you can control, not results. Standards like move your body, tackle one uncomfortable task, improve a skill, practice gratitude, speak with integrity. These habits compound over time in ways your timeline cannot predict. When you trust the process, you stop demanding instant results and start recognizing progress where it actually exists, in the small, consistent steps that shape your future. Let go of rushing. Let go of the belief that you're late. You're on your path at your pace, and worry has no authority over that. Peace begins the moment you stop judging your timeline and start honoring your effort. Letting go isn't a single moment of clarity. It's a discipline you return to again and again. Each of the 10 Stoic principles you've learned today points to the same truth. Peace is built from the inside out. You quiet the mind by focusing on what you can control, returning to the present, questioning fearful thoughts, strengthening resilience, reducing noise, accepting change, choosing your response, releasing perfection, journaling honestly, and trusting the process rather than the timeline. You don't need to master them all at once. Just pick one to practice today. Let it reshape the way you think, breathe, and move through the world. Thank you for spending your time here and for choosing growth over worry. If this message supported you, I hope you'll carry it into your daily life. And I'll see you in the next video with more Stoic wisdom to strengthen your mind and protect your peace.